Go. All right, on that first one, I gave you the clue that there's a 3 on the bottom, so there's probably a 3 in the top that you can factor out. Now, Bond, can you factor that top out and tell me what you get when you factor the 3 out? 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. Very nice. And then the 3's cancel. Technically, they leave behind 1s, but dividing by 1 doesn't really do anything. So, yay. Now, I know I say if you can't factor it, you should. But you don't need to factor that because there's nothing it can cancel with. Like the main point of factoring is to see if something will cancel. All right, so didn't even need to look for whether that would factor. This one, Lily, I gave a hint on factoring something. What did you do? 3 times 3, and that makes what cancel? The 3 and the 3, and then final answer. Well, 5 isn't times by anything. Yeah, it is. These technically are 1s. So it's 5 over what? Lily, you got it? 24. 5 over 24. Put your hand up, real or virtual, if you had 5 over 24. Okay, thank you. Helps me get a gauge. Next up, this one. Cameron, tell me what to do.
You just keep the first.
Yep.
X minus 7 over 5x.
Nice.
And then you multiply it by 3 over x minus 7.
All right. Cameron Thompson, could you tell me what cancels? X minus 7 and the x minus 7. Boom. Dylan Nault, final answer.
3 over 5x.
You got it. 3 over 5x. All right. So, like I was saying before we started the video, this is just like you're going to move up a level. This is the same kind of problems as we've done before. You by now should know how to divide, where you flip and multiply, drop, switch, flip. You should also know how to cancel stuff. It's just the problems are getting a little more intense, a little harder factoring, etc. All right, so our goals are to simplify them like we were just doing, multiply them like we were just doing, and divide them like we were just doing. All right, so what am I supposed to do here? It just says factor. So everybody, make your 2 sets of parentheses. And I'm going to call on like 3 different people to tell us what to do. Tommy Rodebach, tell me what has to go in the first 2 spots. Here and here.
X.
Yep. And let's spread this around. Next up, we'll go to Quinn Wested. Is it a plus minus or a plus plus or minus minus?
A plus and a minus.
Explain how you knew that.
Because the last number in negative 18 is negative, but the 3x is positive.
Yep. If this one's negative and this one's positive, you will need one of each. Okay. And then last but not least, these 2 numbers that I'm circling in green. And let's go with Matilda. What do you think? What multiplies to 18?
3 and 6.
Yeah, 6 and 3. And 6 and 3 also can make a 3 if you're strategic about it. You know what I mean? A 6 and a 3 probably work out pretty good. So I'm going to try putting the 6 here and the 3 here. Now, how do I know if that was the right spot? Because the reversed is different. Jack Lewinsky, how do I know this is right? Multiply or distribute it out. Good. And what do I get? I get 6x for this. I get negative 3x for that. Put them together, you get positive 3x, just like we wanted. Now I know that's the right answer. All right, moving on. Why do you think they want you to factor this one or simplify this one? Because when you factor it, stuff will cancel. If you're bright enough to look ahead of 1 step, do you get one of your factors is probably going to be x plus 6? Do you see what I mean? Like, look ahead 1 step. In chess, the best chess players ever will go out like 12 moves ahead. They'll think, I'll move here, he'll move there. I'll move here, he'll move there. I'll move here, he'll move there. And they know what's going to happen for the next 12 moves. All I'm asking you to do is go 1 step ahead. All right, so Bennett, what do you know ahead of time? Has to be true about the top.
Is there X's in it?
It's got to be x's in it. And then more specifically, because of this x plus 6, what do you think one of the factors is going to be?
6.
Yeah, it's got to be x plus 6, right? I mean, it probably is. Then we just have to make sure that really works. So Javon, I'm left with, I have to have a minus, so I have to have this be minus. There's only one thing left, that number. You tell me what that has to be.
Would be 18.
It has to make 18. 6 times that. So what? 3 is correct. And now I got to see if it really worked. How do I know if it really worked? That's negative 3x. Oh, better write in red. That's positive 6x. Yep, it's going to work. Cool. Bertha, why was it good that there was an x plus 6 on the top? Because then you cancel it out. What's the final answer? Yep. All right. I get the feeling that most of you are pretty good at the factoring thing now. And you need to be, because this next test, if you can't factor, let's fix it now. I know, there's probably one or two of you that are hiding in the weeds and they can't see that you are still pretty bad at factoring. Let me help you. This is your last chance to learn it because it's on this test too. And then it's going to be on another test in your future. I guarantee you, no matter which class you're taking next year, FST or pre-calc, there's going to be a lot of factoring. You might as well break down, learn it. It's like if you have moved to a country where they speak Swahili, eventually you're just going to need to break down and learn some Swahili because you live there and it's going to come up all the time. Might as well learn some. My son has moved to Japan, and so he has learned some basic Japanese. Now, to be honest, he doesn't have to be awesome at Japanese because he works mostly with other Americans on a base there because he's in the Air Force. But you're going to run into some people just at the store and just understanding a few things like arigato is thank you and etc. It's going to be handy. Well, factoring is like that for math. You just need to know it because it's going to keep coming up. All right, moving on to these two. If you can factor them, you should. Good things will happen. All right, be ready. I'm going to call on a few people. You know, this is the intense part of the class. In a minute or two, it's going to ease up and you're going to have a bunch of work time. But for right now, keep at it. Stone, can you tell me what probably is on the top? I agree. But think one step ahead. What must one of those things be so that something will cancel? What is it likely to be? Yeah. And then I should at least see if that works. So then if it's an 8, the other one must be a 2, right? And now you got to see if that really worked. Mr. Nault, do you think we factored it correctly?
Yeah.
Yes. And then what happens?
Eliminate the X minus 8 to be left with X minus 2.
Perfect. That's it. Okay. Next one. There's been a few of you that don't remember how to factor this. But what could they do? They could look ahead one step and go, what's probably one of those factors? X minus 4. Think about it, because these are probably going to cancel, right? So let's see if x minus 4 is one of the factors. Lily, do you think it is?
Yeah.
X minus 4, and what's the other one?
X plus 4.
You got it. That way, negative 4, positive 4 make negative 16. And the outside and the inside make 0x. And there isn't any x's in the middle, so it worked. Cancels. Cancels. Final answer, x plus 4. All right. What do you recognize? What do you wonder? I wonder if that will factor and make a prediction. What do you think's probably in the factors? X minus 5. Because there's one on the bottom. And it'll probably want to cancel. Is it a guarantee? No. but it's likely. All right, my first warning in general, cell phones away, please. If it happens again, I will make you put it up on the front rail. But just have your cell phones put away at this point, not out on the desk. Just too tempting. You'll have that time later. Vikram, can you tell me what you think the top factors to? X plus and X minus. Okay, let's think that through. One of them is negative to make the negative 35. That makes sense, right? And then remember, think one step ahead. What's on the bottom that's likely to also be on the top? Yeah, so this is probably an X minus 5, right? Okay, then there's only one number left. Bennett, 5 times what?
7.
You got it. That must be a 7. Okay. Now that it's 5, X plus 5 and X minus 5 on the top, that X minus 5 will cancel. And I'm pretty much done. Matilda, can you just give us a final answer?
Would it just be X plus 7?
X plus 7, and then what's on the bottom?
Over 4.
Yep. X plus 7 over 4. All right, you're feeling like pretty easy. Like, oh, guess I'm probably going to factor. Alban, what do you see one step ahead that's probably going to be in the factors? An X plus 6. Why do you think there's an X plus 6 in there?
Because there's X plus 6 on the top.
Yeah, we're just thinking one step ahead. And if it's an X plus 6, does it have to be an X minus for the other one or an X plus for the other one?
Minus.
How do you know that?
Because there's a negative in the equation.
Yeah, because it has to come out to a negative. And then there's only one number left. Miss Erickson, can you tell us what number goes right there? 6 times 5, yes. We'll make 30. And then we just quick check it and go the outside-inside thing. That makes 1x and negative 5x, and that adds up to 1x. Yay, it worked. And then the x plus 6 that was on the top will cancel. And you have a final answer. 5 over x minus 5. Can you represent each of these with a drawing or a picture? I am not going to make you do this, but I want you to think about cookies. Yes?
Could we go back, because I think under the X plus 6 there was a 2.
Okay. One thing that I have a problem with is I can't go back on the video. Can you tell me what the problem was? If I go back, the video is going to get all scrambled.
It was X plus 6 over 2 times 5, X squared plus X minus 30.
Okay, I need to hear the bottom again a little slower. Was there a 2 outside of parentheses?
2 alone. And then next to it there was another fraction.
Okay, so you're saying I forgot a 2 on the bottom?
Yeah.
I believe you're probably right. So you're probably right. There was a 2 on the bottom on the last slide. But unfortunately, with how this thing records, I can't back up or it'll crash the video. So I believe I forgot a 2 on the bottom. Very believable. Okay, moving on to this page. We've got, can you represent them with a fraction? Or a picture, sorry. 2 times 1/4. I want you to think times as of. And then you can rearrange them. And so this is really like 1/4 of 2. That's like you have 2 cookies divided by 4 people. Think about this for a second. You got 2 cookies. Times 1/4 is just like 2 over 4. I got 2 cookies and I got 4 people. We each get 2 over 4, 1/2. I'm just trying to make you think of what this is like. Dividing is like you have 2 cookies, but you divide them into fourths. Do you get what I mean by that? You have 2 cookies. Imagine that they're very soft cookies, so they'd be easy to cut. Okay? So imagine you got 2 cookies. Do you get if I divide them each? into 4 parts, how many parts would I have? And that's the answer, is 8. So this is how this is like the real world. 2, and instead of divide, I could say times by 4 over 1, and that's 8. You know the like shortcut, I think, I hope. Drop, switch, flip. But can you figure out what it's like in the real world with a picture? I think cookies is a great way to do it. Just think 2 cookies, and then divided by 1/4 is divide the cookies into 1/4. Right, moving on. This one, it's got to divide, so that means I got to do the drop, switch, flip thing, and it's got to be some factoring involved. And I want to see if you can do it without any help from me, because this is a good, typical test question at the R3 level. You guys have been doing really well on tests overall. See if you got this. I'll pause for a second while you give this a shot. All right, so here's what you should have done. You should have been smart enough to go x minus 5. I bet there's an x minus 5 in there. And then you make this drop. You make this switch to a multiply. And you make this flip so that the 13's on the top. And then this, I'm going to right away go to factoring, because I know it's got to be factored. And I'm smart enough to know it's probably got an x minus 5 in it. Know what I mean? Because I know there's a 5 up here, so it's probably an x minus 5 down there. And then it's got to be an x. It's got to be a plus, because think about it. Minus 5 has to go with plus something to make negative 15. And that must be a 3. And when you check it, that actually turns out to be right. So then this cancels, and you get 13 over 2 parentheses x plus 3. Now, do you have to multiply that out? No, because I say if you can factor it, you should. If you multiply it out, you're unfactoring it. So is it wrong to say 13 over 2x plus 6? No, they're both right. I'd take either one of those. Put your virtual or real hand up if you had one of those 2 answers. All right, cool. So, I'm feeling like handling this pretty well. I don't feel like we need to do another one. So I think on to, you just get to work on your homework, which is stuff just like this in a Schoology quiz. So, everybody open up the Schoology quiz. I will double check that people are actually in it in a minute here. And I'm going to pause the video while we get the first question of the Schoology quiz up. All right, so let's start the first question. First question says 5x plus 15. Right away, I'm thinking, I bet that factors over x times 2x squared over x squared plus 3x. And I think to myself, I bet that factors. Honestly, I haven't factored it in my head yet. I haven't factored that in my head yet, but I bet they factor. And I bet they have something in common, so it'll cancel. So that's what you should think too, is get the factoring done right away. Otherwise, yeah, you could multiply this all out, but don't you want to cancel something first so your numbers are all smaller? It's so much easier if you do the canceling first. So here, factor out the 5, you get x plus 3. X on the bottom. 2x squared over here. Factor out the x, and you get x times x plus 3. And look at that. I told you there was going to be something to cancel. X plus 3's cancel. Kadoink, kadoink. And then, if I don't see the canceling right away, it's all right. Let's just do it from here. That turns into 10x squared. This turns into x squared. And I didn't notice it before, but look, I notice it now. That can cancel that. First answer is just 10. I'll double check that to make sure I'm not misleading you on the very first problem. Nope, that is the answer. Yay. All right. Now, if I were you, I would absolutely not try to just do the Schoology quiz by going, I think I can do it in my head. Please, please, please write them out. You don't have to write out the problems, but just like do a little bit of the work in your head and then write out some steps like what I did. I didn't write out, actually I did write out the original problem, but I did it because I wanted the kids at home to be able to see it and stuff. If you just wrote out the red stuff, maybe you factor it and then write it down. Point, don't try to do it all in your head. Write some stuff down on a blank notability doc. It'll make it so much easier. Okay, that's all I got for you for today.